The complexity used to be that people used to guess what sort of a spare parts which they have to keep, how many quantity they have to keep, how many numbers they have to order. Now we have a norm, and any washer which is picked up from any corner of the country, it triggers off back into the central warehouse and it triggers it back to the suppliers. Nobody need to actually do a forecast, nobody need to chase somebody for an order. First pick ratio, from an 80% of the first pick ratio, now it has gone to almost about 96 to 97%. If I have to go back and I was just doing a check with my dealers, the dealers were pretty happy. At some point of time, I used to keep an inventory which has come down by almost about 28%. The percentage of viewer is drastically coming down now. Look, Royal Enfield is the oldest motorcycle brand in continuous production. It's since 1901. I mean, from the last decade, from a motorcycle which is having a segment of almost maybe 40,000 per year. Currently, Royal Enfield in India, we make almost about 800,000 motorcycles per year. In fact, we make every 45 seconds one motorcycle. But what we do is primarily to look at how do we give the pure motorcycling experience to the consumers. We wanted to deliver it through the connection which we wanted to bring in through the man, machine and the terrain. Today, the man, women and the machine and the terrain. Currently, the market share wise, if I had to talk about Royal Enfield, we are almost about 90% market share in the middleweight in India. Outside India, we are almost there in about 60 countries. Consumers also look at our product as an emotional purchase. They really want it as an ally to him or her, as a self-expression of themselves. So he brings a motorcycle for service or some issues which are there, or general service. At that point of time, if he sees that the particular part is not available and it is going to come to him only after a few days, and he starts looking at, oh, my friend is not there with me for a few days, that's not on. In terms of parts availability to the customer retention also, there is a correlation. Nowadays, all our motorcycles, we give 3 years warranty to the consumers, and we also sell what is called as an extended warranty for next 2 years. And during that window, if the part is not available, he gets the feel that Royal Enfield doesn't give me that sort of a comfort which is required. Why am I going back to them? I lose a future business because he is my future consumer. So what start we looking at is at every stage, when the motorcycle requires a part, it has to be available at a right point of time, at a right place. It's an easier said than done. We have almost 4.5 to 5 lakh job cards which comes to our dealership. We have almost about 1,100 dealership outlets and about 850 studio format. All put together, we have almost about 2,100 outlets in India. This retail outlet, when the consumer is actually bringing the motorcycle, we won't know what motorcycle is bringing in and what part is required. What happens is, there is the total number of SKUs which we handle. If I have to tell you in terms of number of parts which we do that, there's almost about 2,800 parts which are current parts which are required, and about 7,800 older vehicle parts which are required. So 10,000 parts. Now you look at the probability, the 10,000 parts, at what point of time, which part is required and how many numbers are required, it's anybody's guess. We normally look at how many motorcycles are sold in a particular area. In that area, what are the number of parts, what used to be the moving parts, let's assume, and the guys will actually do a sort of a forecast. And the forecast will be sent back to the central warehouse. The central warehouse will actually talk to the suppliers, and the supplier will come back and then say, I have an MAQ, I have to give you so much of an inventory. The warehouse says that I have to keep something if I have to serve. The guy is asking something else. So the whole, the ecosystem can become very complex over a period of time when you are there in the growth path. Definition of the first pick is, when a job card is open for the vehicle to be serviced, at a point of time the parts have to be available. We were almost about 78 to 80% at that point of time. What does it mean? It means about 20% of the instances, the parts were not available, and the part will come from the central warehouse or from the supplier It may take even 20 days. It's very unpredictable. So I would have easily done, that's a management decision to say that, okay, go ahead, improve the inventory, hold inventory everywhere, hold double the inventory at the dealer point, all the parts. But then what happens is that there is no one actually is happy in the entire value chain. The dealer might be thinking, oh man, I have to block so much of working capital into my business and I don't know when the inventory will move. So you always say, I have a money which is already blocked. I can have only about 3,000 line items which I can keep it. But the requirement is that I have to keep almost about 4,000 line items. So he has to get in fresh money. Already the money is blocked for him. And if he has to get the new line items which is required to serve the consumer which is required, then he always feels that, oh, more money I have to bring in, and that's not very profitable. Consumer interest comes first. So any VOR comes, what we normally say is, okay, air freight the component, and air freight, once again you do the component, you expedite it by actually paying extra money to it. Though we were doing it, and we are saying that, okay, it used to be about 8 days the vehicles are off the road, it used to come down by saying that, oh, it has come to 5 days because by expediting it, but the number of VORs or the percentage of VORs were actually not coming down. So over a period of time, what I've understood is, forecast is anybody's guess. At some point of time, it was okay. Now with the complexities which is going up, forecasting is not going to help. It will actually add more and more complexity into the whole system. That's when I happened to meet Kiran from Victor, and we had a discussion once, and I really felt the replenishment model, which they were trying to explain to us, that how the current, the kind of a pressure point we were on the business and how it can actually affect us in the future. And that's when I really took a decision to work on the replenishment model. So first they took a as-is condition. They were looking at which are all the parts which are moving, which are all the parts which were not moving, what's the kind of an inventory. Now we have a norm, and any washer which is picked up from any corner of the country, it triggers off back into the central warehouse, and it triggers it back to the suppliers. When the norms were setting, obviously everything has a lead time. There is a lead time from the raw material procurement to conversion at the supplier end, bringing it to the warehouse, taking it to the dealer point, and from there to the consumer or to the distributors. So obviously the analysis, the team started doing it, which are all the runner parts, the repeaters, strangers, and what sort of a lead time for all these parts. A runner part, if the velocity is very high, why are we keeping so much of an inventory? In fact, I must tell you, it also helped me to do a value stream mapping at that point of time when we were doing it, and lot more inefficiencies which were hidden also came out during that analysis. So we set the norm based on the historic data. Anything which is getting consumed, if there is some, let's assume a norm is set 100 numbers, and at a point of time the consumption was only about 10 per month. Suddenly you see the consumption is going up in that particular area, the system automatically corrects, and it corrects the norms also based on that. Thereby what happens is nobody's need to do a calibration exercise, what is moving, not moving in that. So everyone knows that there is no manual intervention, there is no data massaging which takes place. The system actually takes it. The best thing personally, if you ask me what I like, is every day night, I think in the midnight, the system actually spools the orders and he runs it with an inventory and he says what to dispatch. Currently, if I have to go back and I was just doing a check with my dealers, the dealers were pretty happy because, one, they're saying that I don't have a non-moving inventory which is getting piled up. Second, at some point of time, I used to keep an inventory which has come down by almost about 28%. My working capital got released by almost about 28-30%. He is very happy about it. First pick ratio, from an 80% of the first pick ratio, now it has gone to almost about 96 to 97%. And because the working capital got released, we could also tell the dealers that now you have to keep more parts into this area. The percentage of VOR is drastically coming down now. So the dealer community is damn happy about the entire implementation of the replenishment system. Our business has doubled over about 3-4 years time. In this, my warehouse size has shrunk by almost 15%. But the number of parts which we kept in the warehouse has gone up, and my supplier is also very happy, fundamentally because he gets the clarity of what to make, what not to make, and his lines are not getting disturbed. So our guys' focus as of now
they released bandwidth because of the replenishment system is now on market development and bringing in efficiency more and more into the system. And that way the entire transformation helped in getting the consumers who were not coming to us for service also started coming, and thereby the business also is going up now.